How you doing, Frankie Russo? YouTube Live, Frankie Russo, straight out of Brooklyn. Yeah, on. So crazy day, crazy night. So I got this whole thing going on, and so we're gonna keep circling the wagons on this stuff. It's a crazy, crazy day. You know, as always, Jeff Sessions. Hey, he did the right thing. You know, I liked Jeff Sessions before, and now I like him even more. So he recused himself a lot more in the first week. He did a lot more than what Holder did and what Loretta Lynch did in 8 years with Obama. So showed a lot more integrity. So I tip my cap to Jeff Sessions, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. I think he did he's got a lot of integrity. I mean, God bless him. But I think this whole thing with Russia is one big subterfuge. Now, I found some interesting stuff, and I promised you today that we're going to do Hillary, the real Russian spy. I promise you we're going to do Hezbollah in New York, in the United States. So I just want to, this article, the sources, I don't know yet. I'm just putting it out there at this point. This article by medium.com. I'm not saying this is, you know, there's some sources in here. So they quote the Clinton cash book a lot, but I got to do more research on it. But they're claiming that Hillary Clinton is, hashtag Hillary Clinton KGB. So that's what they claim. Hillary Clinton with the Clinton Foundation, and we know about the uranium, 20% of the uranium markets. She sat on the U.S. Foreign Investment Committee while the Energy Agency of Russia went to and gave the Clinton Foundation tens of millions of dollars and got 20% of it's, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Wyoming, and they got 20% of the U.S. uranium market. So that's something, and that's in the Clinton cash book. So everybody's talking about DT with Russia, and I beg to differ. We're still building and looking. So that's one article. I know we got, is Obama a Russian agent, by Dmitry Olov. Sometimes the case looks weak because there's no smoking gun. This is on Zero Hedge Fund with Tyler Durden. He's the creator, the editor, and publisher. So this website is pretty high level. Zero Hedge. No obvious direct evidence of conspiracy, malfeasance, or evil intent, but once you tally up all the evidence, it forms a coherent and damning picture. And that's pretty much what we're doing. We're showing over here, and it's pretty interesting, And so it is with this, the Obama administration, by feigning hostile intent, it did everything possible to further Russia's agenda. And that's what this whole thing is. Iran, what they did with Iran. And although it is always possible to claim that all of Obama's failures stem from mere incompetence, at some point this claim begins to ring hollow. How can he possibly be so utterly competent at being incompetent? Perhaps he just used incompetence as a veil to cover his true intent, which has always to bolster Russia while rendering the U.S. maximally irrelevant in world affairs. Let's examine Obama's major foreign policy initiatives. So perhaps the greatest accomplishment of 8 years was the destruction of Libya. Under the false pretense of a humanitarian intervention, what was once the most prosperous and stable country in the entire North Africa has been reduced to a rubble haven for Islamic terrorists and a transient point for economic migrants streaming into the EU. This had the effect of pushing Russia and China together, prompting them to start voting against the United States together as a bloc in the UN Security Council. In a single blow, Obama assured an important element of his legacy as a Russian agent. No longer will the United States be able to further its agenda through this very important international body. So this is Obama a Russian agent? Zero hedge funds. Pretty interesting. Next, Obama presided over the most violent overthrow of the constitutional government in the Ukraine and the installation of an American puppet regime when Crimea then voted to rejoin Russia. Obama imposed sanctions on the Russian Federation. These moves may seem like they were designed to hurt Russia, but let's look at the results of the intentions. First, Russia regained control of an important strategic region. This is Dmitry Ovolov. Second, the sanctions and the counter-sanctions allowed Russia to concentrate on import replacement, building up the domestic economy. This was essentially impressive. In agriculture, Russia now earns more export revenue from foodstuffs than from weapons. And third, the severing of the economic ties with the Ukraine allowed Russia to eliminate a major economic competitor. Fourth, over a million Ukrainians decided to move to Russia, giving Russia a major demographic boost, giving it access to a pool of Russian-speaking skilled labor. And fifth, whereas before the Ukraine was a position to extort concessions from Russia by playing games with the natural gas pipelines that led from Russia to the EU, now Russia's hands have been untied, resulting in new pipeline deals with Turkey and Germany. In effect, Russia reaped all the benefits from the Ukrainian stalemate, while the US gained an unsavory, embarrassing dependent. So that's, I'm going to read more of it tomorrow, but that's another, Is Obama a Russian agent by Dmitry. This is Zero Hedge Fund. This is a big time, that's high level. And now, confirmed, the Daily Caller by Chuck Ross. We'll see. This is the Daily Caller, Chuck Ross. Confirmed, Obama administration sabotaged Trump's transition to White House. President Trump's claim that the Obama administration sought to undermine his presidency received some support from a New York Times report on the Obama White House's activities in the weeks before inauguration. According to the Times, no friend of Trump, right? Washington White House officials waged a campaign to procure, save, and disperse classified intelligence regarding Trump's associate contacts with Russians. The campaign also involved curtailing the Trump team's classified information and of lowering classified ratings on other information about the ongoing Russian investigation so that it could be more widely shared across the government. Times sources, the Obama officials waged the campaign out of fear that the Trump administration would cover up or destroy some of that. I don't believe that. The campaign was multifaceted but was not directed by Obama himself. The wide-ranging report also includes some information, including the federal investigators were given intelligence from foreign services and that some Trump associates met with Russia. So this is one big Fugazi situation. The Obama Clinton crime family, the administration's holdovers, is what's was doing all the sabotaging of the Trump team, the Trump administration. There it is. Now I'm not saying that, but it seems to be, that's the way it seems to be looking right now anyway. Here's another. Press coverage of Trump in the first month, 88% hostile, new study. This is Washington Times, very, very reputable, fair publication. Press coverage of Trump in first month, 88% hostile. Study. There was no press honeymoon for Trump first month. A meticulous new report by Media Research Center finds 88% of the broadcast news coverage of the Trump team was hostile during the 30 days, first 30 days. Unbelievable. ABC, NBC, and CBS, the study found that the big three networks produced 16 hours of coverage on a new president and his staff, that over half, 54% of their, that's 54% of the total coverage was the coverage was intense and plentiful. The study analyzed that both the tone and content found that produced 16 hours of coverage. That is over half of their total coverage for the month on Trump. Crazy. Here's another one. Here's another one. Another one, Valerie Jarrett moves into the Obama home. Valerie Jarrett moves into the Obama home. Valerie Jarrett. Obama's goal is to oust Trump from the presidency, either by resignation or impeachment, according to friends. Now, the Daily Mail, I'm not saying the Daily Mail is I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that this is significant, because the Daily Mail is the Daily Mail. But it's something, Valerie Jarrett, on all intents and purposes, is moving into their DC home. She lived in the White House too. You think Obama was, schnooking her? I don't know. What do you think? It's crazy. Valerie Jarrett, Iranian American. Yeah. Crazy, man. Terror threat to U.S. airports set to grow as Al-Qaeda rebounds. The threat of U.S. airports from terror groups such as Al-Qaeda and ISIS is expected to grow because of instability in parts of the Middle East and Asia. So we'll see what happens there. Terror threats growing in the airports. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Pakistan's suspects in-house IT probe, that's the Muslim spy ring, received $4 million from Dems. 5 members of the Pakistani family on the criminal investigation for allegedly misusing their positions as computer administrators for dozens of Democrats in the House of Representatives were paid at least $4 million from July 2009 to the present, the Daily Caller reports. Evidence suggests some of the dozens of the House Democrats, many of whom serve on the Intelligence, Homeland Security, and Foreign Affairs committees, who employed the suspects, were inexplicably paying people they rarely or never see. Wow. It's crazy stuff, man. So we're going to keep an eye on this spy ring with this IT probe. We're going to take it was with the DWS, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We're going to keep an eye on this. And before I get to HEZBOLLAH, which I'm going to get to now, Iran, only 7 minutes needed for the Iranian missile to hit Tel Aviv. Only 7 minutes. This is the Jerusalem Post, but we talked about this on the yesterday's show. From Lebanon to Israel is under 30 minutes with I forgot the average speed. I think 588 miles per hour, something like that. So it was probably, with these missiles, probably even less. 7 minutes. Only 7 minutes is needed for the Iranian missile to hit Tel Aviv, said the Iranian Parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Commission and former Revolutionary Guard Corps official. Why am I not shocked? There it is. It's the Jerusalem Post. Okay, it's an Israeli paper, but we'll see. It does confirm that all likelihood, no probability that it is, because from Hezbollah of Lebanon to Israel is under, I think it's 3.3, not 6, 3.36 hours airplane time. Plane traveling an average of 588 miles per hour. It's 0.36 hours. That's under a half hour. So it's crazy, right? 0.36 is under a half hour. Yeah. 0.5 is 30 minutes. It's crazy. So that's that. Now, and we'll add to this, we talked about the other day, Israel warned Hezbollah against attacks. Hezbollah has threatened the London, according to the London-based paper Al Hatat, that the Lebanese publications, Hezbollah is said to be stronger than ever, and they threatened the nuclear reactors in Israel to whack them with missiles. So I guess that comes along the lines of what we're talking about with Israel and Hezbollah and all this, right? Now, I'm going to start now. Hezbollah in America. All right. Lebanese-born man sentenced to federal prison on charges of making false statement to federal agent, right? So, according to the testimony, the judge Lambert sentenced 45-year-old Lebanese-born Wissam Alouchi to 5 years in federal prison for knowingly lying to the federal authorities on his citizenship petition about his relationship with the Amal militia, Hezbollah. Right? And here's in the United States District Courts for the Western District of Texas. Here it is. Here's the complaint, sealed, filed. Real deal stuff, right? Now, Wissam Alichi, for himself, a person not entitled to naturalization and citizenship, knowingly procured and obtained and attempted to procure and obtain naturalization and citizenship by falsely stating, what's going on here, right? These are the things that we have feared. This is why we want Trump as president, right? To enforce the borders, to enforce the immigration laws. And by stating falsely regarding his Form 400 application for naturalization, Part 10, Question 9C, no, in the response to the question, have you ever been a member of or in any way associated either directly or indirectly with a terrorist organization? He answered no. When in truth and fact, the defendant was a fighter in the Amal militia in Lebanon during the early to mid-'80s, and after his release as an Israeli prisoner of war, the defendant was made a commander in the Amal militia. As an Amal commander, the Hezbollah fighters in his sector had to notify the defendant of their operations. Hezbollah is classified by the United States government as a designated foreign terrorist organization. This is in Texas. Texas he was in. He got into Texas. They're here, people. They're here. There's another one. Ohio man sentenced to 75 months in prison for scheme to send money to Hezbollah. Material support. Remember we talked material support. Money, weapons, training, human assets. Money, weapons, training, human assets, material support. Right? So, Hor Akel was sentenced to more than 6 years in prison today after previously pleading guilty to criminal charges related to a scheme to send hundreds of thousands of dollars to Hezbollah, a designated foreign terrorist organization, announced U.S. Attorney General of the Northern District of Ohio. Akel of Toledo, Ohio, pleaded guilty to a total of 5 counts: conspiracy to provide material support, resources to a designated foreign terrorist organization, conspiracy to violate money laundering statutes, perjury, and 2 counts of bankruptcy fraud. He was sentenced to 75 months in prison by U.S. District Judge James Carr. And his wife, Akel's wife, Amira Akel, she was currently serving a 40-month prison sentence. She's previously pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to provide material support. So the Akels met several times met multiple times between August 2009 and June 2010 with a confidential source who was working on behalf of the FBI. During those meetings, Akal's discussed ways to secretly send money to Hezbollah leaders in Lebanon. Akal told the confidential source during a meeting in Toledo on August 30, 2009, that she dreamed of dressing like Hezbollah, carrying a gun, and dying as a martyr. So that's the press release from the U.S. Attorney's. The press release: Ohio man sentenced to 75 months in prison for a scheme to send money to Hezbollah. Now, here's the complaint. It was filed. This is real deal stuff. U.S. Here's the complaint. There's Akal is his name with his wife. United States. There it is. Real deal. And this will give you an idea. At times, the indictment, Amira Akal, she's the wife. She was a resident of Ohio and a citizen of the United States. And on September 30, 2009, she obtained a Lebanese citizenship. So she had dual citizenship. And relevant to this, an individual known to the grand jury was a resident of Lebanon and a brother of Hor Akal. So they're here from Lebanon, went from Lebanon to here. Then she was here, and then she became a Lebanese citizen. So they're here. Hezbollah is here. Hezbollah is here. It's crazy. Here's a crazy one. This one is off the chain. This one is off the chain, man. Off the proverbial chain, this one. Off the proverbial chain. So, 1-1. Right. Okay, good. I got it. Okay. This is from, I got my data from Investigative Project and the Department of Justice and some well-sourced open source articles. So, U.S. Department of Justice, Jeffrey Collins, United States Attorney, Eastern District of Michigan. This is in Dearborn, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not Dearborn. I'm wrong. But this is in Michigan. But this is crazy, right? There it is. There's the press release. There's the district. This is U.S. Department of Justice. This is real deal stuff. So basically, the criminal conspiracy had two established connections to the designated foreign terrorist organization Hezbollah, also known as the Party of God, headquartered in Lebanon. First, one of the largest suppliers of contraband cigarettes to the racketeering conspiracy was Mohammed Ahmad. The Charlotte, North Carolina Hezbollah cell, convicted of providing material support to Hezbollah. Second, co-conspirator Hassan Makaki pleaded guilty to providing material support to Hezbollah as part of this case. Makaki was sentenced to 57 months imprisonment in December of 2003. The money he sent to Hezbollah from cigarette trafficking was intended to support Hezbollah's Orphans of Martyrs program to benefit the families of those killed in Hezbollah terrorist operations by Hezbollah's enemies. So, Qadar was ordered by the courts to pay $2.06 million loss to the state of Michigan, had to repay it. And here's a further, this is from the ABC News in Charlotte, North Carolina. Feds, Hezbollah cell in North Carolina. This is the further the Hezbollah cell in Charlotte provided material support and resources, including cash, equipment to the Islamic militant group Hezbollah. An indictment handed down by the grand jury charged 4 people with conspiring to provide the Lebanese group with cash, night vision goggles, global positioning devices, mine detection equipment, cell phones, and blasting equipment. To send a clear message that North Carolina, the United States, and Canada are off limits for illegal funding, procurement activities by individuals or organizations that support terrorism. Last summer, the grand jury indicted 18 people on charges of cigarette smuggling, money laundering, and immigration violations. 6 pleaded guilty, and charges are pending against 12. So we got 3 accused of helping Hezbollah: Ali Hamas, Mohammed Hassan. Last to be reported, they found them in Vancouver. So the government contends that Mohammed Youssef Ahmad, named in the original indictment, led a Charlotte-based group of Lebanese immigrants who brought cases of cigarettes in North Carolina, which has a low cigarette tax, and sold them for a profit. Prosecutors said the group diverted some of its profits to Hezbollah, a Lebanese-based faction that was named by the U.S. State Department as a terrorist organization. Today's indictment, which supersedes the one issued earlier, means a total of 24 people have been named in 77 charges relating to cigarette smuggling, immigration violations, and aiding and sending money to Hezbollah. So they're here. Before I get to the big one, which I talked about before, I get this information from an investigative project. They have a lot of the stuff there, a lot of the cases there, and I get a lot of it from, like I said, well-researched open source articles. Investigativeproject.org. Now this is from the state of Michigan, Dearborn. If I'm not mistaken, this is Dearborn, I think. This is a real deal Holyfield complaint. This is the so count 1, weapons, dangerous carrying, unlawful intent, firearms, weapons. So this was an individual in medical school. His name was Hussan Zokat, a medical student at Wayne State in Dearborn, Michigan, was charged on multiple felony charges, including carrying a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent, containing videos and other propaganda for promoting Hezbollah. Okay, this is in Dearborn, Michigan, and we know Dearborn is a hotbed of a place. So Hezbollah is here. I'm just starting. This is just the beginning, and this is the last one. The last one, and then we'll call it. I'm gonna go on scope for a little bit and call it a night. So this is the one. The reason why I'm bringing this up, this one, because this one is a pretty. I talked about it earlier, but I haven't talked it on YouTube Live. So that's why I'm bringing it up. U.S. versus Abasur. Mansour Abasur and Sakori were charged for their alleged participation in a plot directed by elements of the Iranian government to murder the Saudi ambassador to the United States with explosives while the ambassador was in the United States. Abasur is a naturalized U.S. citizen, Iranian and U.S. passports. Sakori is a Iran-based member of Iranian Quds Force, a special operations unit of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that is said to sponsor and provide terrorist activities abroad. Abasur pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Sakori remains at large. And also in the actual complaint, they mentioned Hezbollah. But I bring this up because this case tells you a lot. 2 members charged in alleged plot to assassinate Saudi Arabia ambassador to the United States. This is in 2011. Department of Justice. Two individuals have been charged in New York for their alleged participation in the plot. And Prepa Hara is the one that the complaint filed had Mansour Abbasar, naturalized United States citizen, Iranian and American passports. Shakori is a Iranian Quds Force Special Operations Unit of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And both defendants were charged with conspiracy to murder a foreign official, conspiracy to engage in foreign travel, use of interstate, this is on the southern border, use of interstate and foreign commerce facilities, and commission of murder for hire, conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction, explosives, conspiracy to commit an act of international terrorism, further charged with an additional count of foreign travel, use of interstate and foreign commerce facilities in the commission of murder for hire. So Curry remains at large, and they busted Abashur at the JFK airport. So that's what happened there. So basically, the alleged plot. So in October 2011, Abashur and his Iran-based co-conspirators, Sakori of Quds Force, have been plotting to the murder of the Saudi ambassador to the United States. In furtherance of this conspiracy, Abashur allegedly met on a number of occasions in Mexico a DEA confidential source, CS1, who has posed as an associate of violent international drug trafficking cartel. It's the Mexican drug cartel. According to the complaint, Abashur arranged to hire CS1's purported accomplices to murder the ambassador. Sakori and other Iran-based co-conspirators were aware of and approved the plan. With Sakori's approval, Abashur had allegedly caused approximately $100,000 to be wired into a bank account in the United States as a down payment to CS1, the Mexican drug cartel, for the anticipated killing of the ambassador, which would take place in D.C. To the complaint, the IRGC is the arm of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, is the arm of the Iranian military that is composed of a number of branches, one of which is the Quds Force. Quds Force works very closely with HEZBOLLAH. The Quds Force conducts sensitive covert operations abroad, including terrorist attacks, assassinations, and kidnappings, and it's believed to sponsor attacks against coalition forces in Iraq. That is well documented. In 2007, U.S. Treasury designated Quds Force for providing material support to Taliban and other terrorist organizations. The complaint alleges that Abashur met with CS1, the drug cartel, where Abashur inquired as to CS1's knowledge with respect to explosives, explained that he was interested in, among other things, attacking an embassy of Saudi Arabia. In response, CS1 allegedly indicated he was knowledgeable with respect to C4 explosives. In 2011, Abashur returned to Mexico, held additional meetings with the CS1, explained that his associates in Iran had discussed a number of violent missions for the CS1 and his associates to perform, including the murder of the Saudi ambassador. In July, the CS1 told Abashur that he would need to use 4 men to carry out the ambassador's murder, and that his price for carrying out the murder was $1.5 million. Abashur allegedly agreed and stated that the murder of the ambassador should be handled first before the execution. Abashur also allegedly indicated he and his associates had $100,000 in Iran to pay the CS1 as a first payment toward the assassination. During the same meeting, Abashur, this is crazy. This is some conspiracy, huh? In the government complaint, I actually saw HEZBOLLAH mentioning in this thing as well. Crazy. This is like insane. Wow. So we're almost done. Abashur allegedly described the CS1 as the Mexican drug cartel to his cousin in Iran. I guess Shakori, who is the Quds Force, is his cousin. conceivably, to carry out the, so who said he had requested Abu Shur find someone to carry out the assassination. According to the complaint, Abu Shur indicated that his cousin was a big general in the Iranian military, and that he focused on matters outside of Iran, and that he had taken certain unspecified actions related to a bombing in Iraq. 2011, July, meeting in Mexico, the drug cartel noted to Abu Shur that one of his workers had already traveled to D.C. to surveil the ambassador. The CS1 also raised the possibility of innocent bystander casualties. The complaint alleges that Abu Shur made it clear that the assassination needed to go forward despite mass casualties. They want the ambassador killed, and they don't care if they kills 100. The CS1 and Abu Shur allegedly discussed bombing a restaurant in the United States that the ambassador frequented. Abu Shur allegedly dismissed these concerns as no big deal. Unbelievable. So from August 1 to August 9, 2011, this is all gotten. This is on FBI's Title III surveillance. The FBI has this. This is real deal data. Sakori's approval. This is the cut force. Abu Sar's allegedly caused 2 overseas wire transfers, totaling approximately $100,000, to be sent to an FBI undercover account as a down payment for the CS1, the Mexican drug cartel informant, to carry out the assassination. Later, Abu Sir allegedly explained to the CS1, that's the FBI informant, the drug cartel, he would provide, posing as a member of the cartel, to provide the remainder of the 1.5 at the assassination. On September 20, 2011, the CS1 allegedly told Abu Sar that the operation was ready and requested Abu Sar either pay 1/2 of the agreement upon price for the murder, or that Abu Sar personally traveled to Mexico as collateral for the final payment of the fee. And that's where, and then on September 2011, Abu Sar flew to Mexico, he was refused entry into Mexico by Mexican authorities, and he placed a return flight designated as his last point of departure, and then arrested by federal agents in JFK. So in the complaint, I saw HEZBOLLAH mentioned as well. So Abu Sar allegedly told agents his cousin, who he had long understood to be a senior member of the Quds Force, Iranian Quds Force, had approached him in early spring of 2011 about recruiting narco traffickers to kidnap the ambassador. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So they're here. So this is the Frankie Russo show. I gave you 5. I got more tomorrow for HEZBOLLAH in the U.S. And they're here. You know, I'm gonna go live on Scope in a few, and it's crazy. You know, I showed the, so understand, conceivably we have data to support. That's what I showed you tonight was statistically significant. These are court cases and judges' decisions. So these people are here. HEZBOLLAH, I'm going to have quite a few. Hamas, quite a few. ISIS, quite a few. And it just goes on and on. We're in a war right now, everybody. I don't want to alarm anybody or make anybody feel uncomfortable. But this is a war, and we are so lucky that we got Trump in the White House. Oh my God. Could you imagine if Hillary Clinton was elected? You see what they're doing to him now? And now you see why. Because when you look at this now, and look at the way Russia's going, and I talked about it on YouTube, and I talked about it on Scope last night, that Russia is coming out now for the radical Islamists. They're going to the nexuses, to the Iranian, to the Sunni Shia nexuses that Iran has. Afghan Taliban, Hamas. We'll see. Al-Qaeda affiliate. We'll see. I mean, we'll see with this ISIS thing. You know, I don't know, man. I'm just outside looking in. And where's my? I gotta find my disclaimer. I forgot my disclaimer. Oh man. Outside looking in. You know, the Russo disclaimer. I don't sit on a congressional oversight committees. I don't sit on the International Atomic Energy Agency or Council or Joint Chiefs of Staff. I do not have access to classified documents. Outside looking in, court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, open-sourced, well-sourced research articles. That's it. Well-researched, open-source articles. And that's it. We try to be responsible. We look for statistical significance, outside looking in. And I believe when I'm done with this, it's going to be a pretty compelling presentation of data that, like, after a while, like this board here of material support goes from money, human assets, to weapons, to missile technology, to airliners where they can smuggle weapons. This is the Obama-Clinton crime family giving this all to Iran. And they're and Russia is an economic partner to Iran. Russia is utilizing all of Iran's strategic global terror network, Hamas. There's some evidence that that's happening, where they actually co-opting the Afghan Taliban. Russia, because of Iran. So this is, in each instance, even with Egypt, Iran is at the end of that funnel, right? Palestinian Hamas, Iran is at the end of that funnel. I mean, this is a very, very compelling argument. That's why I laugh when I say, and I'm going to go back over that article, and we're going to do more of Hezbollah in America, Hezbollah in USA tomorrow. I got more cases. I got more stuff that we're going to present. Then after I'm done with Hezbollah, I'm going to do Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and you're going to be blown away. And I'm going to bring in the case with Osama bin Laden. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be pretty compelling. So there it is, okay? I believe hashtag Obama KGB, hashtag Hillary KGB. That's what they're covering up. Remember that Obama was at a conference or something with a Russian diplomat, and he whispered on a closed mic that he has an election right now. If there's an election, he could be more flexible. There it is, you know. Tell Putin that. That's what he said to the guy. I mean, this is crazy. And Trump and the Trump administration is under the gun for this. They're covered. Mainstream media is covering up for the Obama-Clinton crime family. Truth be told. Frankie Russo, yeah. I'll be on scope in about 2 minutes over there, maybe for an hour or so, and then I'll see you all tomorrow. I try 8 o'clock, but my day got so strung out, so I gave you from 8:30. I'm almost an hour. So tomorrow I'll give you, I'll try to shoot for 8 o'clock, so if I can stay on longer before I scope. It's just that I got so tied up today. It was crazy. I'm doing a lot of different things. But anyway, we're working, trying our best to. I want to thank everybody for the support. My Twitter, Frankie Russo 1, my Twitter account is blowing up. Over 1.4 impressions on the. This is nuts. It's like unbelievable numbers, real time. Archive the non-real time numbers. I got 1.4 million. 28-day period. My impressions are 1.4 million. I mean, my reach in real time is nuts. My impressions real time is over the top. We're doing amazing, so it's got to keep going. And I want to build up this YouTube channel. So this is the Frankie Russo Show. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock ish. See you tomorrow night. I'll see you in the future.